Today is an exciting day. We are leaving Glencoe and headed to Legend Suspension right here on the strip. Let's take a ride. Have arrived. And look who's here, man. King Tony, man. Bustle Knuckle Stunt Tour. What's going on, Tony?
How are you doing, buddy? I like that helmet.
Good. Yeah, I love this helmet, man. So not only does Legend Suspension give me the best performance I have, I took them on my cross-country trip and they completely changed the game for me, but they also support pretty much all the baddest stunt riders in the game. King Tony, where are they going to find you online?
Harley-stunts.com. Bustle Knuckle Stunt Tour. Burning tires and lighting fires.
Ow. That man's awesome. He hooked me up when I very first started with my very first Bell Bullet.
I don't really want to lay down.
So there it is on the lift. It is about to get its suspension, and I could not be more excited. I have been waiting for this for over a year. I got this motorcycle a year ago, and as I've said, you know, my last bike, the Warhorse, I switched from progressive suspension to the Legend suspension in the middle of my trip, and it changed the end of my trip for me. So as soon as I got this bike, I knew I wanted to put Legend suspension on it, but I was restricted. I was not allowed for 1 year to put their suspension on it because it was kind of viewed as like competitor suspension or something. But I knew it was the best, and I knew I had to get it on. So as soon as my 1 year was up with this motorcycle, the first thing I did was call up Legend and said, hey, I'm going to be in Sturgis. Let's get the suspension on my bike. Not only are we going to do the rears like I had in the Warhorse, but we're going to do the fronts too. Should be a complete game changer for me. It's not about beauty for me on this ride, it's about performance, because we do long miles across the country, and I don't mind little scratches and dings and dents and dirt. What I do mind is my bike not performing the way it should, and it's about to do just that.
All of our stuff being manufactured in the US. The US has a really, really good quality of steel. Our springs hold their design a lot longer. They don't sack out and sag after time. Kind of one of the downfalls of stock suspension is if you compare like this shock versus that shock, you can see one's kind of just a slave shock, where ours are going to be two identical shocks. Different spring rates, the mounting points. You've got a rubber bushing here versus a nice spherical bearing. That's going to allow the shock to swivel back and forth as your swing arm moves. That plays a huge part in eliminating suspension bind. It's going to give you a much more savory ride. These springs are a longer and lighter spring rate than pretty much everybody else's. That's going to create a very, very supple ride. Once you get down towards the bottom of the travel of the shock. Hand adjustable here when you set the preload. We'll set that for your weight, so it's kind of, the spring rate will be optimal so that no matter how hard you're hitting bumps, you really just can't bottom out the shock. Aside from leaving the ground, and then you can adjust it from there. So
that's sick. It really was. It was like going to the doctor. They want to know my weight and my riding style and all these questions so that they could tune the suspension exactly to my riding and body type.
That reminds me, we do need to have you cough.
I'm gonna be honest, the suspension's worth it. I'll be right back, y'all.
So yeah, you can see here, I mean, this isn't completely snugged up, but the idea there is that movement is normal. It can pivot on that spherical bearing. So as your swing arm not only moves up and down, but as it has left to right movement, this will be able to be free flowing like that as it compresses and uncompresses, and will eliminate this feel that you get in the corner. It's really, really, really noticeable on like your Dynas. So putting this on there pretty much eliminates that. There's other factors that can cause those kinds of things, but really these rubber bushings here are super duper stiff when you first get them, and then they just start to waller out eventually.
You really don't see how dirty your friggin' bike is till you take the bags off.
Just a little journey dust.
A little journey dust.
Coming at you. So what I'm about to do now is set the preload on Adam's cartridge system.
This is our Legend Axio cartridge that we designed for the FL series motorcycles. Unlike it being a one-size-fits-all, basically this is preload adjustable for rider weight. So the guy that's 175 pounds doesn't have to ride the same suspension as a rider that's 375 pounds.
Ugh.
So we're gonna remedy that.
That is some bad looking fur wheel.
Yeah. It blows out of the. So this is all the stock goodies that's gonna come out. Spring. That's what you're looking at.
That was my suspension.
That was your suspension.
And this, y'all, now is my suspension.
Basically the stuff that came out of that fork leg, even though it's much larger in diameter, you know, when they went to the 49mm front end, it's essentially the same thing you would find in a motorcycle front end if you tore it apart from 1975. So it's 40-year-old technology in the front end of these things. So the drastic change and improvements that you're going to feel with this Axio cartridge is going to be night and day. It's going to make this a totally new motorcycle and a totally different motorcycle. So
I am just too excited, man. This is amazing. This is going to be an absolute game changer for me. That I just mentioned. Can you believe the difference? I mean, look at the. I mean, you could just tell the technology, y'all. Look at this. I love sharing this stuff with you guys. Look at the difference in technology. This is like a full piece. It's functioned, it's built, it's machined, it's engineered. This is like a child's erector set. Is that what they're called? Erector sets? I mean, it's just pieces pushed together. It's not. Things are about to get better for Mr. Sandoval. And we are done. All right, so now we're gonna set the sag. Which, what exactly does that mean, boys?
basically we're going to set the rear suspension for your weight. So basically adjusting the springs so we get 1 inch of sag or 1 inch of drop from the fully extended position. That'll put you right in the middle of the stroke.
So we're sitting a little bit lower than I was factory.
Yep. So this bike has a 13-inch shock factory. So we've still technically given him a 13-inch shock, but when you set the sag, his effective ride height now is a 12-inch shock. The front has 3/4 of an inch of sag built into it, and then with him on there, it's going to give him about the other 1/4 of an inch to give him the same overall drop, but we've made the suspension travel go up. So kind of the best of both worlds. You get the little bit lower, more stable, closer to the road, but then you get more suspension travel out of it on top of it.
A lower bike with more suspension travel.
It's like hot ice.
It's like
best
hot
of
ice.
both worlds.
Can't beat it.
You heat up the ice cubes.
You gotta leave it to the professionals. I love hanging out with these guys, man. These guys are a lot of fun. Come out and visit them next time you're in Sturgis, or just go to your local dealer and say, hey, do you carry Legend suspension? Because if they don't, they should. Look at my Band of Idiots sticker. The B is gone. There's no B left. So that's a really nice way of me telling you, Band of Idiots out there in Jacksonville, I'm gonna need a new fork sticker. I'll be calling you. Now comes one of my favorite parts, and that is putting the official Legend suspension decal on my bike. Does that look straight?
Yep,
And so it shall be.
it's official.
It's official. Thank you to my boys and girls at Legend Suspension. I'm gonna love it. And I have put a few miles on it. It is absolutely every bit as good as I thought it would be. Thank you so much, Legend Suspensions, for making such a beautiful product. A little bit lower, a little bit more travel. I went over some bumps and over some railroad tracks, and it was like they weren't even there. Exactly how I remembered it on my old Warhorse. Eventually, this girl is turning into my Warhorse. All right, y'all, that's it for today's vlog. Thank you so much for everybody out there that supports us, everybody that stands behind us. Remember, September 15th, we're breaking the world record for the largest parade of Harley-Davidson. Paris, Texas Harley-Davidson's at Choctaw Casino in Grant, Oklahoma. Pre-register at parisharley.com. Also, make sure you join up with me at the Hot Bike Tour, where I will be the Grand Marshal for the Hot Bike Magazine Tour this October. Also, my campground, Scoot America Resort and RV at K River. You can check us out there. Come see us anytime. We are gonna play here in the Black Hills a little bit and really put the suspension to the test. Until the next vlog, remember, we are not quitters. We are the American